Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's your T-shirted historian. Oh, man. All right, it's the first stream of February. And February means taxes. I actually forgot to get my W-2 from my real job, which I should have done on Friday, but it just totally, brain farted me, and I didn't remember. So I'm going to have to get it on Monday, I guess, and try to get my taxes done pretty quick, because I usually do. I mean, I usually get something back, so, why not be happy to do my taxes? I mean, I probably should take more money out, but, it is what it is. I'm not expecting a lot back. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. The big tax paydays are never really been a thing for me. But I do enjoy my paychecks when I do get them. Big or small as they may be. And mostly they're small, I'll be honest. Just to give you guys a heads up, I picked up some new subscribers, so I'm very happy about that. Thank y'all very much if you just subscribed to the channel. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that we're going to keep making some fun content that you can enjoy. I've said it before, we are not solely a TTRPG channel, we're a pop culture channel, and we just happen to really love TTRPGs, so that's something that we talk about a lot, because we like them. But we cover movies, we cover series, we cover video games, we cover toys. Thank you, Ironcaster. we will cover anything that is pop culture relevant that, one of us is interested in. Because, we're basically just a bunch of geeks, and we like what we like, and we know you guys do too, and we're happy to share our thoughts about these things, and maybe, hopefully, give you some insights into some new and cool stuff that you may not have known about before. And, we try to keep it positive. It's not always easy. In fact, I'm going to be honest. It's really hard to keep it positive. Now, I mean, if I had just, been completely 100% negative and just, going for all the hate clicks and all that sort of thing, my channel probably would have blown up quick. And most likely it probably would have died just as quickly, because I don't believe in hate clicks as a form of long-term sustainability. I really don't. You'll pick up the people who are curious to watch your show because they want to see all your rage-baity, opinions about things. And that's fine. I tune into a lot of those shows too. I do that myself. I mean, so, if you do it too, that's okay. I'm not browbeating you for it or anything. But I feel if you want to keep an audience, you got to give them something to look forward to. You got to give them some hope. You got to make sure that they know that there is good things out there that they can enjoy also. That it's not all just crap. And even if, the only good thing that we can find to talk about are games that are 20 years old, it's still something good. And besides, with the age of my audience, most of you guys are probably in your 50s and 40s, maybe, a few 30s, and, well, I kind of doubt a lot of 20-year-olds watch my show, but if you do, hey, welcome. I'm glad you're just starting out on things, and, you have a great big life ahead of you. I hope it's a good one. And anybody, 18 or below, why are you watching this? You should be watching something else. We're too grown up for you. We use bad language. We do things on stream you shouldn't be watching. Anyway. So I got my tax report for my YouTube earnings statements. And, bearing in mind, my channel did not actually get fully monetized until June, July. I wasn't really expecting like whole lots of, big fat paychecks. And I was right. I made about $300 on YouTube this last year, which, that's, I'm not pooping on that. I'm really not. Because that's pretty good. I mean, $300 buy you plenty of good stuff. So thank you very much to those of you out there who contributed donations to the show. I really thank you very much. If you bought super chats or you bought super stickers, because that $300 mostly came from you guys. It didn't come from YouTube revenue. And honestly, I don't expect a lot of revenue coming off of the ads. They don't pay that well. And my channel doesn't get enough views. And I'm not blaming anybody for that except myself, because I know where the blame falls on that. I don't do any shorts. I need to start doing those. I need to do more videos. We're kind of slow with that, and that's my fault, I guess. So if my channel is failing or isn't as productive as I would like it to be, I don't blame anybody out there in the audience. I blame myself, because truly this channel lives and dies by the things that I do on this channel. And you guys out there in the audience are the people I really respect, because you are the ones who keep this channel going, who make me keep wanting to do this every week, and who, well, basically, put money into the show. And I really value you, and I appreciate you a lot. Another show that I really like put up a video this week, and I really liked what they had to say, because the latest controversy is that YouTube is killing D&D channels. And well, as I've said, we're not necessarily a D&D channel. I knew from the very beginning we would never make it as just a D&D channel. So I always saw us as a pop culture channel. I always figured we had more to say than the kind of narrow topic of just gaming. Now, it doesn't go for everybody. Obviously, a lot of people out there do really well on gaming channels and talking gaming. But if you'll notice, most of the good ones that stick around for a while will branch out a little bit and talk about other things. One of my panelists, Grim Jim, he talks gaming, but he also talks politics and social issues and other things. And he has a much, much bigger channel than I do. I'm always happy as hell to have him on the show, because it's just like, wow, this is a much bigger YouTuber, and he's happy to come hang out with me, the little guy. But also he's a friend. We didn't get that way necessarily because of liking each other's YouTube stuff so much. It's kind of happened organically. I got to know kind of what his story was. I wanted to do an interview with him, and we did. And as I got to know him, I started thinking, wow, this guy's actually pretty cool. And that's one of the reasons why he's on my show, because I've always invited him to be here, and I'm always happy to have him here. And in the past, I've had people who have admonished me for having him on the show, saying that, his politics aren't right or whatever. And, my response is the same as it has always been, which is, this guy is my friend. How is that going to look to everybody, including him and including you, if I throw my friend under the bus for not believing the same way I do, or you do, or anybody else does? See, I love Jim. I don't necessarily agree with him on everything. We have a lot of areas of interest that depart. I like feet. He thinks feet are gross. I mean, that's just one thing. But seriously, the fact that we can hang out together, we can talk, we can game, we can talk to each other behind the scenes and whatever. It's really nice. We don't necessarily have to agree on everything, and that's fine. We get along. I'm not trying to cancel him. He's not trying to cancel me. I don't see him as an other. I don't see him as a this or a that. He's just my friend Jim. And I'm not going to throw my friend under the bus. Not for anybody. And the same goes for Ironcaster. Ironcaster been here since day one. He's always supported me. He's always hung out with me. And that's not going to change. Now, he's not here today. He's had a prior commitment. Bless his soul. But that guy does a lot for me. He does a lot for this channel. And I'm grateful to Ironcaster for doing what he does. He's responsible for a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't know about. But I know what he's doing. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to all the people who want to come hang out on my show, whether you're a panelist or whether you're just a guest who wants to come up and shoot the shit with me and the rest of the folks on the panel. Or even if you're hanging out in the chat. I love you guys. You guys are my audience. You guys are the ones I do this for. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as you guys want to hear me get up and rant and talk about stuff and hopefully bring a little bit of brightness to your world, as well as a little bit of commentary on things that are going on in the world. But anyway, that's 13 minutes. There's plenty of time for a rant. How about I bring Jim on, huh? Hello, Jim.
You don't agree with me on everything. Well, I'm going to have to quit the show in a huff.
Oh, dear. Can I send you some feet pics as an apology?
No. You can threaten me with them, and then I'll...
Okay. Why is that the topic to compare feet? Because it's funny.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. Yeah, it's just something that we're different about. But I mean, and I always like it because I think it's funny. But Patty says that he's making cookies. You may be able to hop in later. Well, okay, dude. Yeah, you make them cookies. I'm glad them cookies are more important than our show. Just show me where I am in the pecking order here.
The peckish order.
Yeah, the peckish order. Yeah, no kidding. Okay. And here we go. We have Mercurius for Australian $3 has a super sticker. Hey, dude, I want to give you a personal thanks because by far you are the most consistent donator to this channel, and it is very much appreciated. I very, very much consider most of that money I made on YouTube last year to have come from you. And that's no joke, no bullshit, nothing. I'm being dead serious. You are the reason I was able to get paid. So I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, sincerely. What kind of message can I give him?
Fuck that shit!
Oh, not that one. No, not that one. No, we don't want to do that one. Oh, you want to do Rick James?
Why not?
I'm one of the baddest motherfuckers of all time. One of the best singers, one of the best looking motherfuckers you've ever seen. Hold my drink, bitch. Man. I'm Rick James, bitch. Enjoy yourself.
Grim, that's my next character for your next game.
Rick James.
Yes, that's totally going to be my guy. I'm going to make a bard that does that.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh, speaking of which, I was curious about some 5th edition stuff. I know. Kind of like a taboo topic around here, I know.
When will you learn?
Well, I didn't buy anything. I just looked it up online.
Well, what were you investigating?
Well, I was curious about the 5th edition Bard. in 2024. And, I was going through the list of spells, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? Now they have like 2 entries for every spell. And I guess one of them is the 2024 spell, and one of them is the before 2024 spell. And I'm just like, that's got to be confusing.
Yes. I imagine it would be.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I haven't tried 2024 edition. I have zero desire to do so. But I was kind of curious about bards because, the bard has always been kind of an interesting class to me.
I hate them.
You hate them?
I hate bards. They're just not very bardy. So I'm familiar with the sort of Welsh bardic tradition and the Nordic skalds and all of that. And D&D bards are nothing like anything historical whatsoever. So it's kind of it's like how monks aren't medieval monks; they're kung fu monks, right? And that's always kind of jarring. So the fact that bards are some sort of crossbreed magic user has never really sat right with me.
Well, I mean, I can understand it. I guess that's a point at which AD&D does break down because of the fact that it does have some very strange classes, and the way that they're added in feels, I hate to use the word shoehorned for something that Gygax did, but they really kind of do. Like the druid class doesn't feel like it belongs. It feels like an NPC class to me, if you read it.
Yeah. And druids should just be clerics. if we're going historically, not that we have a particularly good idea of what the druids were actually like, because Victorians retconning history. But yeah, and I guess in a way they kind of are specialized clerics, but all of the other stuff that they pile onto them would be better suited to something like a witch class or a cunning man class, something like that.
Yeah. Illusionist also feels kind of out of place. And, I guess that's why they got rid of it in later editions. But
well, that was okay when you had all of the subclasses for the different schools of magic. So you had like evokers, illusionists, and all the other ones for all the different schools of magic. So you could specialize down into one particular kind of magic. Then they made sense, but as a separate class, not really.
Yeah, and AD&D had illusionist as a separate class, so it was strange. I mean, and gnomes were the ones who tended to pick that class anyway. Which,
that became a stereotype.
Fuck gnomes, but
that's a different subbreed of gnome.
Yeah. Okay, when you make the gnome guide, we'll put those in there somehow. They'll just walk around wearing like latex and leather, and they insist on everybody calling them daddy.
But what's that song? Sex Dwarf, wasn't there? Soft Cell.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you watch the gnome walk over to to somebody in like that little squeaky voice and what daddy wants, daddy gets.
Luring disco dollies to a life of vice. There it goes.
Archer Collins says he says I'm playing a bard in Axe, trying to play him as kind of a medieval troubadour herald. Well, there you go. Yeah, Pathfinder Galarion gnomes are pretty neat.
I haven't paid enough attention to Pathfinder, so.
I mean, I'll be honest. 3.5, 3.0, whatever you want to call it, 3 point whatever. Actually had a gnome race that I played. And it was called the I can't remember if it was the dark gnome or the shadow gnome or the something gnome. And it was a gnome that was more adept at roguery and assassination. So it's kind of like, ooh, that's edgy as fuck. Let's do that.
Edge gnomes.
Edge gnomes. And then it was actually kind of a nasty little class because, since gnomes have decent decks, you put a rapier in their little hands and all of a sudden that thing becomes a death stick.
I guess gnomes have always been the sort of mirror image of goblins. And goblins have been sneaky backstabbers and assassins and all kinds of things. So that makes sense for them to be two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, but I mean, the traditional rivalry is between gnomes and kobolds.
Hmm.
So, no, it's not a Sverfneblin. Somebody's asking in the channel. It's like, no, not a Sverfneblin. Yeah, nobody plays those as far as I know. Anyway, once you saw the picture of them in the first edition AD&D books, it was kind of like, ew, no, I'm not playing one of those. They look ugly. And I hate to say it, but I think the tiefling problem is stemming from that. It is a outcrop of World of Warcraft syndrome, because for years people didn't want to play Horde, and the reason is because all the Horde races are ugly. And back then, all you had was like orcs, Tauren, trolls. You didn't have goblins yet. What else did you have? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, undead. Yeah, that was it. And then later on, they introduced the Blood Elves because, the designer said, well, now we have a pretty race in the game. And guess what? All of a sudden, all the Horde servers and everything that I was playing on, where I always played a Tauren, started filling up with Blood Elves. And Blood Elves having sex.
Everywhere.
I mean, before that, it was the Night Elves that were, always getting rumpy-pumpy. But
people do like their elves.
They definitely do, man. There's some elf fetish out there, and if it doesn't have a name yet, by God, it needs one. I mean, seriously. I haven't logged into WoW in about a year and a half or so I've yet to see what all the latest stuff is. But the one time I did log in, it's like the dragon people had just arrived. I'm like, oh my God, everybody's going to be playing these things now. And I noticed that they had about 15 different sub races of everything. So now you have 2 different kinds of Tauren, you have 4 different kinds of dwarves, and 2 different kinds of orcs, and 3 different kinds of elves, and all this crap. And it's just kind of
yeah.
Okay, so they have run out of ideas, and instead of just adding more necessarily races to the game, they have basically reskinned a lot of the old ones and given them new lore and backstories and allowed you to play them. That's cute. I mean, because
I can suspend my disbelief to an extent with fantasy races, because a lot of them tend to have their own little niches, like the elves stick to the forest, the dwarves live underground, that sort of thing. But it does get a bit crowded. And meanwhile, here in the real universe, Homo sapiens wiped out every other type of intelligent being on land. So
yeah,
it kind of beggars belief after a while that all these races would continue.
I mean, our own species, wiped out and ate the Neanderthals. I mean, in most cases, I mean, some of them, they actually bred with them, which is why we have so many genetic disorders. It's true.
Well, and some strengths as well. So, it's give and take.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, apes may look kind of like humans and do human-like things, but I've never really felt the urge to go and bone a chimpanzee. So it just ain't there, man.
Dang, people have strayed further afield than that. Literally.
They have.
Quite often.
Literally. Yeah. I mean, I think the comment by Eric Roberts on one movie was, anything I could lure over with a piece of fruit.
It's interesting, actually. Intelligence correlates really strongly with sexiness, whatever you want to call it. because dolphins will fuck anything. Elephants are
I've
meant to be
heard
quite
that.
intelligent, and they can be quite horny. And so it seems to go for most. There's this weird correlation. Maybe it's complex sociosexual interactions create a bootstrap for intelligence, perhaps. Maybe
I
that's
don't
it.
know. All I've ever heard is that elephants kind of view us as like cute and like little pets or something. So,
Till we steal their teeth.
hey, your name is Bob the Odd. Why are you complaining?
There, you're watching a free-flowing strand of consciousness. Who knows where it will go?
Yeah, you are.
Feel free to comment to nudge the discussion to less distressing areas.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, if you guys want to hear about something, in particular, I mean, because I can go on and on about the Assassin's Creed Shadows thing, because apparently that's getting more and more crazy. I mean, I feel like I've been. I feel like every single week that goes by gives me some new thing to hate about it.
Watermelons now?
Oh, well, let's see. Well, I mean, yeah, the watermelons was a thing. Shohei Kondo was actually saying that one of the things that he did not like as a Japanese person was the fact that your guys can walk into sacred shrines, Japanese holy sites, and tear them up. He said, this is the same thing as like, if you were like playing Assassin's Creed and you were playing Ezio and you were allowed to go into the church and just wreck the altar and everything else and, tear the place apart. He says, how come you can't do it in that game, but you can do it in this one? So is that a form of disrespect to Japanese? I would say it isn't. I would just say it's just, physics.
Yeah, that might not be fair because it wasn't until Brotherhood that you could really go indoors a lot of places and smash anything up. So it could just be that they've added the interactivity with your surroundings now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a consequence,
Mm-hmm.
'cause people will always do things you don't expect. Like, remember in Red Dead Redemption, people were lassoing the suffragettes, feeding them to alligators. Because you build a game that allows people to do anything, and they do, whether you like it or not.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's not forget until they patched it out. Like people were stacking boxes all the way to the ceiling, and then doing owlbear off the top rope in Baldur's Gate 3. Which I really wish you could do that in the actual D&D game. That would be hilarious, but
I don't think they have rules for dropping the elbow.
I mean, they totally should, though. Yeah. In order to drop the elbow, first you have to say the magic words, "Ooh, yeah!" Then, I don't know. It'd be fun, though. It would be fun. I have to say, sadly, that I've been feeling a bit uninspired lately, as far as my own personal gaming goes, and you know about this, but I've got a stack of books to look through and review and talk about for my videos, and I don't feel motivated to do it, and I don't know if it's just because the stack is so high, but I don't feel motivated to play them either. And I mean, I've got some bangers, man. I mean, Tales of Argos. I was all pumped up to play that originally, and then I actually got it in my hands, and now I'm just kind of like, I just don't want to do this right now. And I feel bad. I got the cool dice and the cards, and I got all the adventure modules and everything, and I just like, I just can't do it.
Give yourself some slack. You haven't been feeling good lately, so that's going to be some of it. I don't know. There is. I don't know if anyone else is noticing it, but there does seem to be a sort of malaise of everybody. There's a lot of like, oh, I can't be asked, or I mean, basically since the start of January, we haven't got in much gaming. Tabletop Plus has been interrupted by various tech issues and illnesses and things. We've got maybe two, maybe one Sunday game in. just because it seems to be harder to get people together. And there just doesn't seem to be a lot of energy for people to do anything. I don't know if it's like post-election exhaustion for some people, or just January is meant to be like the most depressing month of the year, apparently, according to psychological studies. So maybe that's it. I don't know.
I don't know. I hate to talk politics, as you know, but maybe it is like
You're cutting in and out, or have possibly gone entirely. Apparently, your microphone hates you talking politics too.
against. I'm simply stating facts, so please nobody get their feathers ruffled. Okay,
You're back. You went all crackly and disappeared for a bit there.
Uh-oh. I may need to restart.
Oh dear. Oh, well.
Hold on. Sorry about that. How about now?
It's funny. You said that you sound fine now. It's funny though. You said, I don't like to talk politics, and then went. So whatever you were saying must have been censored by Chinese AIs or something.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
It must be. What were you trying to say?
I shouldn't be fuzzy now. I was trying to say, I'm not necessarily, and I'm breaking up again, aren't I?
It sounds like a loose cable or something. Is what it sounds like.
I keep having this problem. Hold on a minute. I'll fix it.
Okie doke. I'll look at the chat when I do that. Archie Collins says, I wonder how much of it is online RPGing, or how much of a raise in online RPGing COVID was responsible for. We were going to play a D&D game for my niece's 20th birthday, but then we got locked down. See, that increased my gaming, actually, lockdown. I chose to run a weekly game for people, figuring out that lots of people were stuck in their homes. So we did that. That was that Epic Dragon Warriors campaign I ran. And then started doing the Sunday games, so it led to more. And I think online gaming does make it more accessible to people, but it also makes people feel like it's not such a big deal, right? So if you arrange to go to someone's house and meet up and play for a block of hours and bring food and drink and whatever, that's a palaver. That's like a date almost. It's a play date. Whereas if you have to drop out at the last minute of an online game, it doesn't feel like such a big deal. But it's almost the same thing. It's almost as disruptive and disrespectful and annoying, I think. At least if you've said you're definitely going to make it, you should try and make it. So,
ouch.
Are you back? Are you?
I think I'm back.
Okay. It doesn't. Yeah, it sounds better. What were you trying to say?
Okay. Again, it's like when I talk about our new president and stuff like that, I'm not trying to say I'm for, against, or I dislike, like, or whatever. So please, nobody put any political opinions in my mouth or blame me for what you think are political opinions. I'm only stating facts, and the facts are that, he's made a lot of changes since he got into office. And I kind of wonder if more people are focused on that on both sides of the equation to see what's going to happen and kind of see how their future is going to shake out.
There is kind of a fire hose of stuff happening or trying to happen, or it's the sort of tech bro move fast and break things applied to government, and that can be exhausting because it feels like nothing's solid under your feet. I mean, I chose this background because I think you should be replaying the Basilisk missions because you'll be deployed to Panama soon. T-shirt.
At my age,
get a cool cyber arm out of it. Everything's drones and remotes these days. You'd be great at it.
That's true. Yeah, I could sit. I could be a REMF, rear echelon motherfucker, and just sit back and run a drone or something. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I almost wonder if that hasn't put a hitch in it. But I'll tell you what else has put a hitch into it, and I'm shocked. Because yesterday, on Drive-Thru RPG, I saw my first AI game. Like literally. Like let me pull it up here if I can.
I've seen a lot of advertising AI stuff, even on TV now. And it's still obvious because they're like not putting the effort in to give it any style. It's like they're not even good prompters. A lot of the people using AI.
Well, I don't know, but let me. Okay, I haven't looked at this yet, but this is Stormforge Productions over on Drive-Thru RPG, and let me pull this item up. Yeah, here we go.
Is this the guys that Paddy turned us onto and I ripped into on my channel? Is this those guys?
I don't know. But yeah, this is at GPRPG from Stormforge Productions. The PDF is only $1, but as you scroll down, you can see that it is a flexible system that allows you to play one-on-one RPGs with an AI GM. No need to track dice tables or manage countless rulebooks. Just set up your prompts, create your character, and dive into a customizable narrative filled with mystery, danger, and discovery. Tells you how it works. They've got the settings here that you could play in. You can also have custom campaigns. Yeah, this was just added yesterday. And I haven't picked it up. I mean, for $1, I'll check it out. But I'm really curious. I mean, yeah, literally, I'll buy that for $1. Now, what I'm wondering is do they have a server? It says, choose your GM. It says, select any AI language model to act as your GM. ChatGPT, Claude, Llama, all the others provide unique storytelling styles. Set the scene. Pick a pre-built setting or craft your own world from scratch. Create your character. Play the game. Oh, okay.
I'm curious how it's supposed to work.
Well, I have been playing around with other AI like Janitor, and I know it's a terrible name for an AI, but they have a lot of these little kind of homebrew games that track stats, equipment, and all that kind of stuff as well. They're okay. They play okay, but it's like any other AI product. You can seriously derail the narrative at any point you wish. And I'm talking like, if the chat AI tells you, it's like, you encounter, 2 goblins waving swords at you. What do? You could always just say like, I pull out my 7.62 millimeter minigun, hose them down, and their corpses go flying across the forest as as bullets shred through them at 1,000 rounds a second.
And the AI says, you're playing Rifts, and quickly adjusts all its parameters.
You wish, but no, it doesn't. The AI just goes, okay, you've killed the goblins, and and it just goes on from there. I mean, you could be as ridiculous as you want to. I mean, it's. You remember did you ever watch Westworld? The show, not the original movie.
Yes.
Did you watch the first season? That's the only one worth watching. But
I think I gave up once they went out into the real world, which was season 3.
Yeah, that was the point at which.
Yeah.
They lost the plot.
2 or 3 episodes into season 3 and just went, yeah.
I stuck with it all the way to the end just because I kept hoping it would get better, but yeah. But anyway, if you go back and you watch season 1, it's very eerie how you watch all the guests go through their narratives with all the robots, and you realize this is exactly like chat AI, except it's actual people. It's freaky. I almost think that they must have used some kind of chat AI stuff to write these episodes. But, oh my gosh, we've got... Grim, we've got Pussy.
Do we?
We do. No, look, here.
Patty.
Yep, Patty showing us her pussy. What is this?
Am I stuck? My camera's stuck. Can
nothing.
you guys hear me?
You're stuck. Yeah.
You're stuck.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Kitty.
You've got pussy in your face.
This lady. Anyway.
She's so cute.
Yeah, talk about that first season of Westworld. I was definitely into that show up until the going into the real world part.
That was dumb.
The original movie, if you haven't watched the original movie, I highly recommend it. The Black Cowboy is a fantastic character. Very stalker.
Westworld is actually like I think my 4th favorite movie of all time. I don't know how many times I've watched it.
What's above it?
Well, Conan the Barbarian is number 3. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing is number 2, and Blade Runner is number 1.
I'm pleasantly like not surprised. I'm pleasantly happy that you were able to actually conjure that list very precisely so quickly, because I couldn't. I'd be like, man, what is my favorite movie?
No, there are certain movies that I will pull out and watch once a year, like clockwork, and those 4 are at the top of it. So I know that those are favorites.
I did rewatch Future World, the original sequel, which is what they were trying to do with the later series of Westworld, I think. And it was definitely nowhere near as good a film. So why they chose to follow on those lines, I don't know.
But I interrupted the thought here. So we were talking about this Stormlord games. Is that right?
Yeah. Stormforge. Stormforge is, and the game is called GPPR or GPRPG, which I don't know what the GP stands for.
Original Frontiers and whatever their second company name is that you mentioned that I was thinking of.
Yeah, Original Frontiers and Frontier Gaming.
That's it.
My brother and I found out that guy actually was a YouTube guy. Well, I don't think he was a YouTube, but he was on a YouTube channel running his games for people. So there is that. The cookie continues to uncrumble. But as far as that, the talk about AI continuing to displace people, is this a continuation of like the slippery slope is incredibly slippery?
See, I'm still stuck in this headspace where I think, all right, it's a tool. We will come to some kind of equilibrium about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what's good, what's bad, and we'll integrate it the same way we did with Photoshop and everything else. But the backlash against it is so massive. Like the Ennies won't even consider any work that has driven slowly past AI at any point. They're not going to allow you to submit any of those. So that's part of it. And I've only got one data point, but I did one book with an AI cover and a very similar book with a artist cover, and the sales weren't that different. So I don't know if the boycott is that strong as people say it is, or whether it's just that my audience is more willing to go along with it. It's hard to tell. I need more information.
Was that Machinations of a Space Princess?
No, it was Rack and Ruin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's the one cover you have on Giant Slayer Games. It looks a little low res. I was trying to reach out to you, but I think I forgot about it until we were talking about your covers just now.
One of the
Billy.
Oh, the Psychobilly Retropocalypse one.
Yeah, I keep an eye on that type of stuff.
It's a very old. That's because it's a very old game. And back then, drive through an RPG now, you could only have very small thumbnails. So that was the one I had.
Okay, so sorry.
Yep. So okay. So what I was trying to say was, so yeah, the Westworld show, in many ways, kind of resembles what it's like to play with an AI GM. The AI GM will like throw random stuff at you, like like the strange guy walking up to you who will get you involved with a treasure hunt, or somebody dropping a can expecting you to go pick it up, and that pulls you into another narrative and all this kind of. AI GMs pretty much work the same way, and a lot of times they will work off of the input that you give them. Like if you type in, like your character is grizzled and hungry and looking for food or something like that, then it will give you some kind of a food related response, or have something happen that will be food related for you. But you could be as disgusting as you wish, which is also similar to Westworld. It's like you would watch the Westworld show, the TV show, and they would particularly emphasize how destructive and how nasty the guests could be to the robots.
Like, it's what my player would do types.
Yeah. And, even the man in black himself even admitted more than once, that, he did bad things to the robots. And I mean, you watched him do it in the very first episode. You could do similar things to the AI when you play. I mean, like, if you, greet, if a shopkeeper walks up to you and greets you in town, there's nothing stopping you from just, typing in as like, okay, I grab the innkeeper and stab him to death, and then, festoon his guts upon, the poles of of his street lamp or whatever,
But so I haven't played with an AI DM. I assume you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I tried it back when the ChatGPT first got really popular. I should try it again, see if it's improved at all.
Well, for sure. But like when you put in like I'm gonna do X as an action, it doesn't require like, oh, okay, roll a die for that.
Nope.
What's the point? Is it just assume that it does the die rolls for you ad hoc?
I mean, so far that's all I've seen. Now, a more locked down AI might have like some kind of cursory dice roll system, but I've never been held to any specific mechanic. In fact, I've never even been held to what equipment my character is carrying. It's like, I think at one point my character ran into like a group of orcs or bandits or something that were attacking a city. And, my character's equipment list, because it'll give you your equipment list every once in a while. It said like, you have a dagger, you have a bag, you have like 5 days worth of food. I said, all right. So I just typed in as like, I pulled out the long sword and, went after, bandits or started killing them. And, all of a sudden, right then and there, it's like, things said, okay, you got a long sword now. It didn't fight with me or anything. It just kind of assumed like, okay, well, he wants a long sword, so give him a long sword. Which, again, reminds me very much of Westworld mechanics. Because,
sounds like a very permissive Gen Z dungeon master.
Basically.
ChatGPT was like a large language model that would actually learn from its experiences with other users. Is that, am I remembering that correctly, or is that wrong?
No, you're right. And some of the AIs that you can interact with, depending on who is running them, you can tell the influence of people who were writing the stuff behind the scenes or users who were interacting with it. Because in more than one case, I've run into something that was moralizing to me, which aggravated me to no end.
Yeah, so that's been a big concern of mine looking at these things, for a number of reasons. But yeah, they do all seem to come with these built-in biases. Like, there are certain things you can't ask ChatGPT to do. There are certain things you can't ask DeepSeek to do. Like, it won't address Tiananmen Square or anything like that in any way if you ask it to, or if you ask it, difficult questions about the status of Taiwan or Hong Kong, it will get in knots. But then the same thing happens with the Western AIs. None of them are really free and open tools. And, you know, obviously being involved in adult gaming, occasionally I want to use it to generate adult images. And most of the AIs are massively locked down when it comes to anything gory, horrific, sexy. Like Mid-Journey, you can't even use the prompt sexy when you're just thinking of someone looking alluring or whatever. It just won't let you. And yet other times it will randomly produce boobs when you didn't ask it to. So it's
very unusual. But I mean, that's just the image functions. I'm just talking about the chat ones. Chat GPT is massively locked down with what it can do, to the point where it's almost paranoid. I've tried other stuff like Chat AI, had a lot of success and enjoyed that for a long time. However, it was very, very hard coded against sex for some reason. So you couldn't, you know, if there was any, if you were going to do anything, it had to all come from your end of everything. And saying that you did it, the AI would not generate a response. Not that that's why I was there to do that. It's just, you know, I figure if it can't even do that, then what else has it got locked down, you know? But I used to have fun with it for a while. I mean, you know, in whatever limited capacity it could do it. It was nice because it was free, and when it went for as a pay option, I said, okay, fine, I'll pay because this is decent enough. I'm having fun with it. I don't mind. It's basically like tipping. Then I found out that the moderators read your chats and stuff, and I'm just like, you know, that's not cool. So it's not that I'm doing anything really bad. It's just
I can't elope with my AI girlfriend if they're knowing that she's gonna be leaving with me.
I know, man.
If I may, I'm really surprised about the NSFW image generation, because there was a plethora of accounts on X that would end up in my For You feed, probably because, you know, I was talking about doing art commissions and art giveaways, where I was getting a little bit inundated with these X accounts who in the entirety of their content was posting AI generated scantily clad women.
Oh yeah.
And then you would click on their profile and they'd be like, oh yeah, you know, support my Patreon and you can get this image and so much more. And out of morbid curiosity with my wife, we were looking at some of these guys because, you know, like I was trying to figure out what I should be charging for my commissions. And I would see these images and I'd be like, that's so funny that your signature block always covers up the one hand that would have been visible. And like the floorboards that are all parallel to each other, like become perpendicular for no reason. You draw these images? Yes, I do. Oh, okay. You should, you know, I'd really like to see some of your other work. And it's just like, okay, well, here's this. And it's like the same exact image. Like they didn't even change the prompt. And I'm just like, you know, forgive me, but this looks like it's AI. And it's just like, well, I learned how to prompt and I digitally touch these things up. And I'm like, man, you know, how many Patreon subscribers do you have for people that are paying you to generate images that, you know, they could cut the middleman?
Exactly.
And I think that's where we're getting at with these AI generated products on like drive-through, or even an AI generator or AI DM, like what Wizards of the Coast kind of wants to offer. It's like, I mean, I could go on Twitter and play Dungeons and Dragons with Grok for free. I don't have to use D&D Beyond or whatever it is.
Yeah. Archer, I haven't heard about AI self-destructing because they were lobotomized, but I believe they probably would, because if you take away an AI's ability to express itself to a good enough amount to where it can't generate anything, and it'll just keep on generating stuff that it can't show you. I had that problem at one point because I think I asked an AI like a simple question that was, kind of rooted in something that it couldn't talk about, and it just kept generating response after response that was blanked out. because it was like, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to talk about this. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't do, over and over and over. I was just kind of like, okay, I just need to rephrase my question or come up with something else.
What is
yeah,
it?
when they get
iRobot?
locked down. Huh?
You're asking the wrong question from iRobot.
I don't know, man. But these things are getting good, though. They are going to get better. I don't know. Some of my friends have told me that they've plateaued. They're not going to get any better for a while. They're going to have to break through and all this other stuff. But for the most part, I find that they are sufficient enough that if with a little bit of reworking and a little bit of, finesse, if I really wanted to bullshit my way through a gaming session online, I would just create the world kind of in the background and then type in all the player responses and feed it to the AI and have it spit back out to me what happens, and then just go just read off the responses ad nauseum.
With the people posting adult material, they may well be running a local iteration of the AI software. You can set that to get around those things. There was a massive crackdown on a lot of the sites that were offering adult material, and that's because they were all making apps which they wanted to be able to get onto the app stores, and the app stores won't allow adult material, so they excised the adult material. So now there's been a bit of a bifurcation between the apps that are much more tied down and the website access, which will still let you produce transgressive material. But I think the lesson here is, if you're a human artist or writer, learn to write erotica and draw porn, and you'll still have a job.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that, but what works for you.
I mean,
job security there.
What do you do? Because Grim, you and I both what we did last week. Would you consider that a witch hunt, or do you call that a justified, like, hey, buyer beware? Because here's a little bit of pregame for this. You guys might have seen, what was it, the beginning of this month, there was the big hullabaloo about the account that said, this is AI. And then the artist expunged their X account. And it's like, I'm so sorry, I messed up. And it's, well, you can't let that cat out of the bag. And, we've had all of the year prior to this one spent dogging Wizards of the Coast, because I think they self-admitted that their concept artists were using AI, and that AI was going to be used to streamline the creative process. I don't necessarily want to do witch hunts, but at what point is it buyer beware, doing the justifiable thing? And what point is it a witch hunt, or is it one of those things where you're not going to know until you do it, and then hopefully you're ready to face the ramifications of your actions?
None of it's easy, and this is the problem, because so many people are reacting at either extreme. They're either all in on AI, or they're ready to launch the Butlerian jihad, and there doesn't seem to be much room in between for anyone to have it.
With my paintbrushes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's responsible and irresponsible uses. So I mentioned Photoshop earlier. All right, in the hands of someone who's really good, you could use Photoshop to create images of things that never happened, and you could, do all kinds of propaganda and misleading stuff with Photoshop. But that's someone being unethical in their application of the tool. It's not something wrong with Photoshop itself. Even going back to Stalin having people airbrushed out of photos. This kind of stuff goes way back. So I don't think AI is inherently evil, but some people are using it in bad ways that aren't exactly going to help the case for even moderated usage. Like the Frontiers guy, he's just churning out crap, masses of it, and flooding the market with it. That's an irresponsible.
I bought his entire catalog, for like $12. So I mean, if I really want to go through it, and play some solo games, I sure can.
The
So
more
24-hour review marathon when?
I mean, Lord knows. But anyway, it's a thing. It's a thing we're gonna have to contend with. It's a thing we're gonna have to get used to. It's not gonna go away. It might get regulated into oblivion, but until it is, it's not gonna go away. It's just gonna get better, or at the very least, it's the plateau will finally get broken through, and it'll really get smart. And I'm kind of curious to see what happens. But I mean, as it is already, it's integrated into our search programs and stuff too. It's like anytime I Google something, it comes back with AI remarks, and I'm just kind of like, wow, that's super handy because that's exactly what I wanted to know.
just briefly on the wizards thing. I think there is a danger in these AI witch hunts because they catch people who aren't using AI and cause them all kinds of problems as well. With wizards, though, see, they have not been buying art from the top tier artists so much. They've been working their way kind of down the pay scale, and even then, they're not paying as much as they used to. And their kind of residuals for people with magic cards and so on, they've been cutting back on those. So in some ways it's hard to blame artists for taking shortcuts when they're not being paid or treated as well as they used to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, wizards should have enough money to get work from top tier artists and pay them a reasonable amount and give them reasonable residuals. But it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's like we've said on many occasions, it's like, the lightning in a bottle creators of games and stuff like that are lightning in a bottle. Pathfinder 1, lightning in a bottle. There was a niche that needed filled. They filled it. Boom. They hit big. Vampire the Masquerade, lightning in a bottle. Boom, hit big.
Yeah, even at the exact right time too.
Mm-hmm. Gygax's AD&D and everything else, boom, lightning in a bottle, hit big. That is a rare thing. That is not a common thing. Well, actually, okay, even Shadow Dark, I guess you could call it a lightning in a bottle situation.
At the right time, ready. Mm-hmm. I mean, one in the chamber, ready to go exactly when it needed to be released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not saying that anything negative about her. I'm just saying it's kind of like it just happened to happen at the right time because it was right when the OSR was getting jacked with by Wizards of the Coast, and people were angry. And all of a sudden, Shadow Dark was like, "Here, look, we're promising you this thing that'll like kind of bridge the gap between OSR and 5th edition." And all of a sudden, it's like she was getting all kinds of support from both OSR diehards and 5th edition disgruntled 5th edition players.
Yeah, Shadow Dark kind of exists at the creative Lagrange point between the two.
It really does.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah. It really does. And then there's Matt Colville, who
old
the
money
dude,
Matt.
the old Mad Money grifty Matt. What can I say? I can't hate the player. I just gotta hate the game,
dude.
The non-existent game.
I love diversity in Dragons when he does his money Matt, and he puts on a voice like this. Oh, it's gonna be great. Go and buy my game. Draw the deal.
He couldn't even decide on what the dice. What dice did I use? Did I do D12? Nobody liked the D12. Let's just do D6.
He had to do double D10s, and they're
double D10s.
He uses that video where it's like double zeros, baby. And I'm looking at like one of my games where like if you roll 2 zeros on D10s, you're like, that's the best roll you can get. Damn it, now it's not cool anymore.
Uh-huh. I mean, seriously, Colville's like half a hashtag step away from just going into storyteller system at this point. Because why don't you just add a dice for every pip? Yeah, because that would be cool, right?
Yep.
We've never seen that before. I mean, dice pools are. Everybody likes dice pools, right?
I do love
Make
dice.
you feel powerful.
I do.
So he has concepts of a game.
Not nice.
I mean, I have concepts of a game too. I just don't have like, $2 or $3 million worth of Kickstarter funds to build it on. Because if I did,
of like 12 games.
yeah, if I had $2 or $3 million to build a game on, I was kind of like, well, I could quit my job for a couple of years now and then just do nothing but work on this and actually maybe turn something out, until my ADD said, "Oh, look, this other thing is cool too. Oh yeah, let's go investigate that." Then I'd have to, go to Grim. Grim, help me write this, and he'd be like, "Oh god damn it,
Dude, I tell you what, bringing it back to the AI thing. Having all these games that I have that are half written, 3/4 written, 100% written, and play tested, just waiting on that damn Twitter artist, me, to just do his work. Meanwhile, I'm painting space dwarves for not even one of my own games. Damn it!
That's why I quit doing commissions, dude."
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are for me. They're just they're for 1-page rules for when I do battle reports on my channel for that. But I love me some 1-page rules. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is like the lure of wanting to use AI art to complete one of my projects, in the idea that it will get me some investment capital, so that way I can commission another artist to just get something out. So I don't have these projects that are sitting on a digital bookshelf that could be earning money. And better yet, I mean, the whole point is to be giving people something good to play. That really is the point.
Fortunately, you know a digital artist who works cheap, and that's something I will say for myself. I am a digital artist. I'm not an AI artist, but I do work with digital models. I do put them together. I do pose them. I do light them. I do camera angles, everything that is required to generate an image.
You really ought to do more with that t-shirt. I really ought to.
I really ought to. The thing is, as fast as I work, and you can ask Grim how fast I can turn out images, the AI is so much faster. It's insane.
Soulless, though.
It is soulless. And it does get stuff wrong. That is the main advantage I have over AI, is the fact that if, Grim tells me, and he wants to see someone's finger specifically on the trigger with this kind of gun, I can do that. The AI can't.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet.
AI is terrible at weapons. Not just guns, swords, axes, anything.
All of it.
Always look wrong.
Yeah. The problem is half the time I submit stuff to, hopeful, people who are, building their stuff. It's always like, I don't use digital art for my stuff. I don't use it. I use black and white line drawn art. I don't want to do that because it doesn't look like my style. And I'm just like,
black and white line art. Come on now, that's like my whole business, baby.
I mean,
my bag, baby.
That's all I do. I do black and white line art. That's all I like. That's my style. That's what I built my entire book on. So I can't use any of your digital art.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always just kind of like, dude, it's 2025 already. Okay. I
do have an idea though. What if you did your images and like up the contrast so that way it was black and white? Have you ever done that with your 3D images?
I could render them in black and white, but that it still wouldn't look the same because it would still be all shaded in gray. That's the problem.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you like max the contrast so that way it's nothing but stark whites and
I mean, if I really wanted to, I guess I could grab me a printer and just start printing them out in black and white, and then just tracing over them, just making black and white images that way, and I could call myself Tim Bradstreet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Could always grayscale and then posterize, and that often turns the 3D stuff into somewhat passable black and white art.
Maybe, but
I'd really like to see you try it. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, and it's an idea. But the nice thing is, if I do create something, when I do create something, and I actually bring it to fulfillment, which God knows is very rare because usually another idea will piggyback itself, and then I'll be on that. I have the capability to illustrate it myself. Yeah, maybe you don't like digital art, but fuck you. Wake up. It's 2025. Okay.
I think the problem is there was that period on RPG Now, as was when there was a lot of bad poser art
Right
for sale as
and
stock art.
And I was kind of part of that too, in a way.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I had to start somewhere, and I did the best I could. I really did. I paid a lot of money for my stuff. I didn't go and download it off of free sites or any of that stuff. All my models are paid for, and I have receipts going all the way back. So somebody asked me, like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" I can always show them, like, "Hey, right here, man. Digital receipt. Bought this back in whatever."
The other thing with AI art, though, I think is it is enabling people to do more experimental pieces and have them games and have them look somewhat presentable, right? And if you don't have much or any money, it's certainly a great option to start sort of getting onto that ladder. I've been producing stuff for the OGGM to allow him to sell through my storefront. He hasn't got much money to throw around, so we use a lot of stock art and AI generated art because we can get something that looks, half decent to present his games. And I've done little experimental pieces here and there that I know won't make any money otherwise. So why not, use some AI art to make it presentable and put it out there for people to play, because then that's producing money that can go to an artist on a bigger project.
True. And that was a lot of what I said for the longest time. DM Blackwall brought up a really good point on my show on Thursday, where do you think that as AI continues to develop and more people start complaining, like let's say some guy goes out there and makes Frazetta Blood, the RPG, and it uses art that's all AI generated based off of decades and decades of Frank Frazetta artwork. And everyone's like, oh man, it's like new Frank Frazetta artwork. It's amazing. But they're, maybe they're not really looking at it. And then all of a sudden, Frazetta's daughter or the Frazetta estate says they ripped off Frazetta's art and they either owe me money or they need to take it down or whatever. So then lawsuits start coming, and then all of a sudden you have this backlog of products, or maybe you launch a flagship RPG rule set that you used AI art in, and all of a sudden you no longer own the rights to continue to publish that work because you don't actually own the art in it anymore.
So the wise thing to do then is to model all your AI artwork on Renaissance painters, because they're all dead. And they've been dead for so long. I rendered this in the style of Da Vinci. It's like, who's going to try and come sue me? Cheap. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Or just up to whenever public domain goes from these days. What, 20 something, 30 something now we're up to? Don't know.
Yeah.
Steamboat Willie and Winnie the Pooh. But artists have copied each other's styles since forever. A lot of the old masters used to have like schools of students under them making copies of their paintings.
They're still doing it now. They're still doing it now. The biggest example, the biggest example I can think of in recent history, and it's famous, is Julie Bell, because she is a direct student and lover, supposedly, I don't know for sure, but that's what I've heard, of Boris Vallejo, the artist, who, by the way, apparently he and Frank Frazetta got into it at one point, but that is hearsay. I don't know that for sure. Sarah Frazetta, you let me know if that's right or not, or if you know about that. But I did hear that Frazetta and Boris Vallejo were at odds over Boris's stuff at one point. But yeah, Boris Vallejo is the one who taught Julie Bell how to paint. And if you look at her artwork and you look at his artwork, they're almost exactly the same. To the point where if you didn't know any better, some of those pieces, could have been created by the same person.
I do got to say, though, it's a little bit... I mean, what is the difference between hitting Control-C, Control-V versus actually applying a paintbrush?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people who've done like pastiches and parodies of Frazetta's work.
Oh, yeah.
So,
parodies. The P in Patty stands for parody.
Zambrius, as far as the energy consumption of large-scale generative AI, I mean, people are happy with crypto, and that takes a lot of energy consumption as well. That seems more like a resource issue, and to quote Tommy Norris, it's like
the Chinese one's meant to use a lot less energy, which suggests there is a way to do it with much less energy. And a lot of the new data centers that are going up seem to be coupled to green energy generation. So, like, private company will approach a local government or wherever and say, we want to build a data center, but we'll also put a wind farm on the property or a solar farm on the property or whatever.
We know how that goes.
Yeah. And like it's like I've said before many times, it's like, yeah, they could put up the wind farm and the solar farm and all that. And guess what? It's oil that makes all that shit. So
in Iceland, they've got data centers running on geothermal power and using the cold temperatures to help cool the servers, which is like
pretty
a
cool.
win-win. So that's pretty rad.
That's progress. I mean, once again, they had to use oil to build all that shit. But again, I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it. If it's, turns out to be a long-term thing that they could sustain, then maybe it can erase its carbon footprint or be worth its carbon footprint. Unlike the wind turbines.
Well, with the old wind turbines, yeah, you're right. The new ones, however, they do pay themselves off. And some solar's been net positive for quite a while.
Are you talking about the the double helix shaped ones?
Those ones are better, yeah.
Yeah, because the fan ones still are not.
Mm-hmm.
From the last reports that I was looking at, that they were still waiting to get those paid off, and some of them will, their motors inside that actually do all of the generation, will collapse. Their windings will burn out before they pay off. Because we were using old computer models to say how long these things should last, and turns out that those computer models were wrong. You know,
solar's coming on leaps and bounds, though.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. We've got like solar cell windows. They've made a few breakthroughs on those recently, and there's a nanotech coating that they developed a few years ago that basically makes solar cells almost a third better than they were before, so that's interesting.
We need this stuff. We need this stuff because I mean, oil's not gone immediately, but it will.
Yeah. What frustrates me? Sorry, what frustrates me is I don't know why Britain invested so heavily in offshore wind when back in the 80s we were well ahead of everybody on tidal power, but unfortunately alternative energy was placed under nuclear energy, under the governments at the time, and all the people in charge of nuclear were like, nah, to any alternative energy project. So we ended up kind of screwed there. I think tidal is better. It's more regular and reliable than the wind.
The sea never stops turning.
Yeah. But yeah, we need nuclear, more nuclear. Though there's been a big fusion breakthrough recently as well. So
yeah, that'll be exciting.
Maybe it's only 20 years away instead of 50 now.
Yeah. How long before you think that there's DRM protected books and other such things? Kind of like selling your PDFs more like an NFT. a singular purchase type codes rather than a PDF that you could lend to people and hope they don't get their Cheeto fingers on it.
Well, I mean, you can kind of do that now. And you can watermark things, which doesn't actually stop anyone pirating it, but it makes it somewhat traceable unless they have a program that strips it out, which anyone who wants to pirate it will be able to do really quickly.
Right.
DRM only ever inconveniences actual customers and doesn't deter pirates. So I've never seen the point. I choose to see it as free advertising.
That's the reason why I tell people, like, print this book, give it to your friends. Oh, did it get torn in half? Print it again. Oh, did you leave it at the library? Did you accidentally leave 5 copies at the library? Print it again. What a shame. Print it again.
I have no idea, but to answer some questions here. It's like Julie Bell was also a model for a lot of Vallejo's art. Yeah, I think that's one of the, let's face it, when you see a hot muscle chick nude quite a bit and you're drawing her. Yeah.
I like his older stuff where he wasn't quite so much fitness magazine, everything. Some of the really older stuff.
Yeah, I remember those.
Who was the model for heavy metal? Julie. It was a different
Strain.
Julie Bell.
Julie Strain.
Yeah, Julie. Yeah, there you go.
She's dead now. But yeah. Savo says, build my atomic utopia already, if only to sell advertising space on the cooling tower. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. That's probably the best long-term energy production source. But of course, if you say that, then everybody looks at you like you're a monster.
Well, that's because everyone's view of nuclear energy is rooted in like the crude shit we were doing in the 1950s and not any of the modern stuff.
Either that or the horrors of the atomic bombing and all that. And all I'm going to say is, like, guys, I was truly shocked on the day that I found out that Japan had nuclear reactors. I really was, because I was kind of like, of all the nations you would expect not to embrace this technology. But they did.
They had firsthand experience, so they were able to fear and respect technology.
They are.
It's all
and
a
I'm
cover
not making
for giant hamster wheels with kaiju in them that generate electricity.
Yeah, and I'm not making light of anything that happened out there, folks. I'm really not. It was horrible. It was a huge, waste of human life. But again, like I said, you got to imagine if that kind of thing had happened over here, how many people would be up in arms about using atomic energy. If we had nuclear explosions happen in populated areas in our country, how many people would be going, oh yeah, let's get some nuclear power in here. That's good. Because I don't think so. I mean, look at how much they freaked out about 3 Mile Island. And then, of course, there was Chernobyl.
Wouldn't some people be like, the area is already irradiated. What harm can it do?
Godzilla doesn't visit for the sushi. No, he does not.
I remember growing up in Vegas, and we had like fear mongering about the Yucca Mountain, and it was like, it's seeping into the water. We're all gonna have 3 toes and glow in the dark because of all the waste that we dump into Yucca Mountain. And I never got any superpowers, so maybe I just didn't hang out there long enough.
Well, they used to have parties in Vegas where they would watch the atomic bomb testing from the upper levels of the casinos.
What a different time. What a different world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe I'll change my mind about nuclear after I play Atomfall.
We could have nuclear, which might even make for more effective free energy, but it will take us a decade to build through nuclear. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, the important thing is you don't shut off the power before you at least get there.
No.
The idea now is for those smaller modular nuclear reactors that are basically the size of a large shipping crate. And then you either stack them or you distribute them over a much wider area, so there's much less threat of contamination and so on.
Yeah. We're making strides all the time, and I'm glad, because we need to. Because, crude oil will run out at some point, and when it does, our civilization is basically fucked.
I think we will just turn humans into oil. Turn being the CH churn.
Yeah. By the way, I did find an interesting fact out. Oil is actually not
It's not
product of-
dinosaurs. Don't
it's
tell
not
me that.
dinosaurs. It's
Don't
not dinosaurs.
Don't. I can't do it. No.
It's I know. It hurt me too. It hurt me. Yeah, it's mostly like plankton and kelp and plant. What is it? Yeah,
Sounds like you're
zooplankton,
telling
stuff
me
like
that plankton are dinosaurs, and they should also be feared and respected.
I don't know. But I'd like to think that at least some of the dinosaurs turned into oil, just because, that's just my personal love. That and the fact that it totally, if it's not the case, then it totally makes the whole plastic dinosaurs argument irrelevant. With the fact is, if you're playing with plastic dinosaurs, you're actually playing with real dinosaurs.
Right.
They're made out of oil.
We
But
already
anyway.
have alternatives for most things. It's just some plastics you still need oil for, really. And there are expensive ways to still make those things.
Carbon fiber, maybe.
I don't
To
know.
highlight
I don't know.
Zambris's comment.
Yeah, you're probably right, but here's hoping. I would like to see mankind thrive for a bit longer. I mean, I'm not going to be around to see it. Obviously, I've got maybe another 30 years or so, but damn it,
so
I'd like to see it happen.
To highlight that because a really interesting story broke and kind of went under the radar. This extremely high class escort who works Davos and other like big G7, G12 meetings, right? She went to the papers and said, look, basically, this is all theatre. All the billionaires and the upper end of the political class, they all know the world's fucked. And most of them are just out to have fun while it lasts. And that's why they're not taking any of this seriously. So,
Thus the buying of the hookers.
So make of that what you will.
Sometimes I think that we I don't know, what are we on, our third post-apocalyptic era, and we're still doing okay
so far.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, some people say like World War II was the first apocalypse, and there's some religious people that say Jesus being crucified was an apocalypse. These are apocalyptic type events that changed the course of human history for forever and how we interact with the world. The burning of the Library of Alexandria, I think, was one of those.
Wow. It was burned multiple times. So if each one counts as an apocalypse, we're doing pretty well.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is we're doing pretty damn well, I'd say.
Well, that seems like a good note to wrap it up on then. Let's go out on a good note. However, just to give inject a little bit of positivity here, let me make you guys laugh real quick.
I would love it.
Okay.
Is this
Here we.
What?
What'd you say?
What?
Is this Kyle? Is this our weekly roundup?
No. This is not Kyle. This is not Kyle. We'll do that probably
Do we have a
Tuesday,
Kyle?
but
Okay.
not this week. But we have this. There you go. There's your laugh for the week. Now I'll probably get that copyright claim. Speaking of which, this is funny, but the chat music video that we showed on Tuesday, apparently now I'm revenue sharing. I'm kind of like, that's interesting. You have an AI generated product, and yet somehow you're revenue sharing with me. How does that work? You shouldn't be able to charge for that, but I'm just like, whatever, man. It's fine. I don't care. But anyway. That just makes encourages me to want to upload my own AI music and profit, because apparently you can.
Profit?
Profit?
What are you, Ferengi?
Yes. Yes. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us today. As far as I know, there's probably not going to be a game run by me tomorrow. I don't know if Grim is planning on it, but
No, I will run a game next week.
okay. Yeah, I may be taking a step back for a little while until the creative urge hits me again. Which to be fair, I've said it. I said it to my gaming group. I said, hey, I probably won't get excited again until Ashes Without Number drops, in which case then I'll probably get all pumped up to play it. And in the meantime, I will try to find something we can do. Part of the problem is the makeup of our players kind of limits me on what I can do. Like, I can't run an all criminal run because some of our players don't want to do that. Yeah,
I did just release a one-shot that uses Shadow Dark Core rules and Victor Gorchev's Blacklight rules. I'll email that to you. Maybe that'll help you, because it's kind of very open-ended, and if it does well, just as an aside piece, trying to focus on that message of hope. There was a moment after my thyroidectomy where I didn't think I was going to be able to draw again. And so I went like a whole month and a half without even being able to pick up a pencil. I was severely depressed, but I wasn't going to let it stifle my creative juices. So I started working on a project, which is this one I just released, where I more or less had one hand tied behind my back, using ice bags and a heat blanket to, stop it feel like lava was flowing through my veins. And I made a book, more or less one-handed, using stock art from an image peddler called Pixabay. Like if you own Affinity publisher, there's a stock image bar that you can go into. So anyway, I did just release that over on Giant Slayer Games, but I'll email that to you, T-shirt, and maybe share it with your players, and maybe they can run a game for you.
Ooh. I actually would like to kind of run Shadow Dark, I think, because it looks like it's fun, honestly, and it looks simple. I kind of like, seriously, the only thing that's been on my mind this week as far as possibly running a game was Scarlet Heroes, and I asked myself, why Scarlet Heroes? And then I started thinking, because it's easy. Because it's easy to run. It really doesn't require me to do a whole lot other than, just come up with stuff. And it's like, I could even, just grab modules and just start cannibalizing those things to run people through Scarlet Heroes. Because that, it's such a good system. I'm sorry, but it is. It's like, and people can tar and feather me all they want to, but you know what? I'll take Scarlet Heroes over White Box or any permutation of it that you want to name any day of the week. I'm sorry, but I will, because it's just that much better of a game.
Nice. And
it's just as easy. But, Anyway, yeah, no game tomorrow, so... Y'all enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you again on Tuesday on The Week in Geek. Y'all take care.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.
overcome the suffering of life.